Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Matt and it is Wild Wednesday. Yes, folks. Happy hump day to each and every one of you. First and foremost, I do hope each and every one of you, yes, each and every one of you are having a great morning, evening, dawn, day, or dusk. All that lovely stuff because life really is too short as is. Please do like, share, and subscribe. I love seeing each and every one of your faces every Monday through Friday. And then, of course, major holidays, I'm definitely not here. But either way, I try to give you guys plenty of content to choose from so you can always go back and watch whatever, whenever, however. Yeah. And then also do me a really huge favor and check out the information in the description box. I put more info in there, such as your basic synopsis, your starring cast, runtime of the cut I'm watching, director, MPAA rating, if there is one that exists, which most of the time there is not one, some trivia if I find anything worthwhile, and then a link for either a trailer or a scene from a movie itself. It's very rare when I do not have one. Yesterday was one of those extremely rare occasions where I could not find a link to either a scene or a movie from the movie itself. It was pretty rough trying to find one on that one. Either way, it was an interesting movie to do. Not as interesting as today's movie. Today's is a very special movie to me. It's one that I absolutely love and adore, and I think it's one of the better reimagining of Todd Browning's film, The Freak. Todd Browning's film Freaks, not The Freaks, but Todd Browning's films Freaks, and this is none other than She-Freak from 1967. Yes, folks, this is an oldie but moldy. It is, 54 years old now. It's been a hot minute, but either way, I definitely recommend this one. Now, this one, it came out from Something Weird Video, as you can see their label across the top here. They always do a good job giving you some special features. I always like their packaging for the most. This is the special edition. I do not know if there is a non-special edition. If there is, whatever, either way, you get the film itself. It's definitely one that you need to check out. Some great drive-in classic exploitation stuff here. Now, as far as anything else goes with this release, it is a standard issue non-press. It is not standard issue. I'm sorry, folks. This is a DVDR. So do keep that in mind. When you buy anything from Something Weird Video, it's going to be a DVDR. They make everything on demand. So definitely keep that in mind. If you're not a fan of the DVDRs, definitely skip over it. Otherwise, I would say I highly recommend it. Now, as you can see, there is zero reversible artwork on there, which I could have told you that. Something Weird never, ever really does. I don't think they've ever in the history of their company have done reversible artwork. Well, maybe now they do because they're getting into the Blu-ray line and all that kind of fun stuff. They're definitely upping their game over what they've been doing over the last 20 years, 20 plus years they've been around. It's a fun company. Now, as far as anything else goes with this release, it does have a couple special features on there. It does have the commentary from producer David F. Friedman. Is it Friedman or David R. Friedman? David F. Friedman, I was correct. And then it also has a short film's little thing of it's basically shows a bunch of sideshow acts, the barkers, the carnival barkers out there trying to lure in the unsuspecting people to come in and check out their performers. It runs at about 8-9 minutes long, something like that. It's not terribly long, but it's a very interesting watch for as far as the special features go. There is also a still gallery in there, trailer, and I think that might be it. Yeah, nothing else worth mentioning on there. It says it's digitally remastered. Honestly, the transfer isn't really the best, but I don't think this will ever look any better, to be quite honest. This is one I don't think will ever get a Blu-ray, or at least if it does, it's not going to be very much of an upscale from this. Not unless they find the negatives and they go that route. Otherwise, this is, I'm going to say this is probably the most definitive release that you can get of this film. Sad to say. Now, as far as anything else goes, this one runs at an hour and 23 minutes ish, because they do tag on the trailer at the very end of it, which is like a 2.5 minute trailer. So it's probably, I'm just going to say it's an hour and 20 minutes and call it good right there, 80 minutes. It is not rated, which honestly I wouldn't have suspected this one to be rated by any means. And then we got Claire Brennen, Raymond, Lynn, Courtney, and Bill McKinney, and this is directed by Byron Mabe, Mabe, I don't know, Mabe. Yeah, sorry for mispronouncing that one. But I think that Claire Brennen was a Playboy playmate way back in the 60s, if memory serves me correctly. I want to say like 66, 67, 65-ish, right around in that era. Because David Freeman and Herschel Gordon Lewis, they worked together on a lot of stuff, and they were very, very good at getting these Playboy playmates to come in and do these movies for them. A lot of times it didn't help the movie, but sometimes it did. This is one of those cases where I think it worked out rather well. Now, what exactly is this about? Like I said earlier, this is a reimagining of Todd Browning's Freaks. If you haven't seen that, that is an amazing, amazing piece of film's history right there, and I highly recommend tracking down a copy and checking that one out. I think it came out in 1932, so it is a very, very old film, and it has aged extremely badly, extremely poor. But it is still shocking today by today's standards. Which this one, I would say, is still shocking. There's not really a whole bunch of sideshow freaks at all in this. There are some, but for the foremost, they don't show them. It's all about all kinds of different carnies in this. It's a veritable cornucopia of carnival folk. Now, okay, back to what it's about. It's about this girl named Jade. Jade is kind of a biatch. Jade, she's one of those girls that thinks that everything is owed to her without any real work for it. She's got a snippy, snarky attitude. She is working at this roadside diner, basically being just kind of like stuck there. She has no way of getting out, nowhere to go, no money really to start over elsewhere. So it's one of those things. She's stuck in her situation that she's in, and then in comes this man that works for the carnival, orders some food from her, blah 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 blah. I remember he ordered a grilled cheese sandwich, a black coffee, and a slice of pie, which I believe was a slice of apple or peach pie, if memory serves me correct on that. But either way, that's what he ordered. But either way, she is intrigued by the idea of working for the carnival and being able to travel around, do a little more, have a little more freedom when it comes to things that she can do. She can even get around with being a girl who sleeps around without really having too much care about it. The carny folk might talk trash about you, but as far as the other people, they don't know you. But anyways, she's working at this diner. This dude comes in. He's asks the owner to put up a flyer for the carnival, blah, blah, blah. She eventually ends up following him out and gets his card, and then the next day she goes out to the carnival to find a job. While she's there, she becomes friends with a girl who dances the hoochie coochie, as they put it. She is a stripper who doesn't take all of her clothes off, which 1967 Carnival, I imagine they would not get all the way down to the nitty gritty. If anything, I imagine they would probably have pasties, which if you don't know what pasties are, you definitely need to look them up. They're a silly invention that I don't really like at all. I think it's stupid. Tassels, booby tassels. Anyways, but she becomes friends with the girl, the hoochie coochie. She also becomes friends with a guy named Blackie. Blackie is a what does he run? He runs one of the Ferris wheel. That's right. He runs the Ferris wheel. He's kind of an arrogant, cocky type. He knows he's a good-looking guy and he's in great shape, and he's not tied down with anything, so he can really get out there and do whatever he wants as a man. Excuse me. Now, so she becomes, she has a little bit of a thing with him. It's not really anything real long. She grows to the point to where she wants to, better herself financially. She becomes friends with all these other women from the carnival itself. One of them happens to be the fortune teller, and she tells her future and this and that she has the weird her lifeline on her hand is very different than what others would be. It was very it was like an enigma. In other words, she didn't understand why it did what it did. It like ran and then it stopped and then it went on again. One of those kind of things. I don't understand how palm reading goes. I think it's also stupid, but that's neither here nor there. So she finds out that she's going to come across some money. She quickly chases after this dude named Steve St. John. Steve St. John is the owner of the 10-in-1 Freak Show, which is 10 acts and under one roof. Pretty easy to understand on that one. But either way, he owns that, and he quickly falls in love with Claire, or Jade, played by Claire Brennen. Falls in love with Jade, and she basically becomes a giant bitch. At first, she's very, hey, I love you, very, 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 touchy-feely almost, very, very nice towards him, and towards everybody else. Now, eventually, Blackie ends up at their house, or their apartment, or not apartment, but hotel, I believe is what it was, ends up there, and he basically, in a roundabout way, forces Jade to have sexual relations with him. She doesn't really fight it by any means. She quickly obliges, but either way, when he's getting ready to leave the next, or later after it, Steve, her husband, Jade's husband, happens to pull in, and they find out they find out that Blackie, or that he finds out that they're sleeping with each other. Blackie they have a little fight. Blackie ends up killing him and taking off. She inherits all the show, the money, the house, the car, everything. She is becoming a ruthless tyrant to everybody in this carnival, all of the freaks, everyone that was right up top tier with him to bottom tier. And that was Steve St. John's biggest thing. He treated each and every one of them like a human being would, or like a human being, like they were a man or a woman. He didn't look down upon them because they were freaks. Although I do look at it like this, he was also exploiting them because of their genetic diseases. But either way, she inherits all this, and then eventually the freaks decide they're going to take matters into their own hands, and they do some very, very. They don't show. It's all in your mind. It's 1967, so you're not going to get any gore or anything like that. It's not a Herschel Gordon Lewis film, so but it does have a very, very cool looking makeup effect at the very end. Which you can see it. This is basically what you're going to see is something similar to this right here. It is very gnarly looking. It reminded me also of the movie Freaked with what is this? Winters, David Winters, Bill Winters. I can't remember the one from Bill and Ted. Either way, good movie there too. Now, as far as any kind of ratings would go on this thing, a technical side, this thing's probably a 2. It lacks on certain things. I wanted more from certain characters. I wanted more of the freaks, and it doesn't give you enough in that aspect. As far as the storyline goes, it's a good storyline. It works with it perfectly. It meshes and melds well. The acting is definitely a downfall to this. A lot of these people are real carny folk, I believe, but it really shows that they are not professional actors or actresses or performers. But either way. And then there's a lot of dull, boring lulls in this. A lot of montages of watching them put up and take down these rides and concessions and the tents and all of the stuff that is required for a carnival. There's a lot of that going on in there. So it has a lot of dead air, I would call it. But either way, doesn't really affect it to the degree to where I was bored to wanting to turn it off. I did pick up my phone a couple of times, like, okay, this is boring right here. Let me check my messages right quick. But either way, I've seen it like 3 or 4 times now, so I know exactly what happens and when it's going to happen and things of that nature. As far as an entertainment side goes, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. This is definitely I would call it a 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10 kind of movie. It's own worthy for my fans of weird, like bizarre cinema. Something weird video definitely always delivers on the weird factor and the cheese factor and the B movie factor, C movie factor, D movie factor, and so on. So definitely check out 1967's She Freak by Byron Mabe, produced by David F. Freeman, who also produced a bunch of Herschel Gordon Lewis stuff. Love you guys.